Yep. Oh, you're talking to Amy. Yes, she's got the buttons.
Okay, I will call this Commissioners' meeting to order for Tuesday, October 10th, 2017. Please join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Thomas, please.
Lord, please guide us today as we contemplate the county's business. Give us a presence of mind to appreciate those that we all work with. Guide us in your name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, let's try roll call.
Commissioner Kirchner?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Commissioner Stacy? Here.
Okay, I'll accept the motion to approve the digital audio video recording of the previous board session from last night, October 9th. There's a written index there.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, is approved as submitted. Now, adjustments to the agenda. I have a couple. You want to start with you, Stacy Wilson?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I would like to have a conversation about safety grant. Hopefully some discussion about 108 South Jefferson. And we also have a proclamation that we'll put on the agenda when the proper folks arrive. Anything else, commissioners, to add?
I'd like to mention a few Ohio State Science Fair recipients. I don't think we're going to be successful in getting them here because of our day meetings, but I'd like to send them a letter of congratulations.
Ohio State?
State of Ohio, Science Day, Science Fair.
Okay.
Did we want to just confirm at the end schedule for the rest of the month?
Yeah, review calendars. All right, so I think, in respect for time, your time, Tracy, we can go ahead and talk about the Chapman Score lease. I know that's not first on the agenda, but since you're here, anybody else for your place coming?
No, just me.
Okay, so you can stay or go, whatever you want, but you can go ahead and start.
Well, as you know, we've had the lease. This will be our third year of the lease, and we've been able to compile the amount of money that we've been able to put into the building since the inception in 2014 when we took it over. And between our accountant and everything else, we've put $32,600 into the building to bring it back to life. And our current utilities and things like that too are kind of exceeding what we're able to pay at this point and keep the rehab open that we have for our men. Most of the men in our program are unable to pay. We're doing the best that we can to keep as many of them alive as we can at this point. As you know, we do have a problem with the heroin addiction in our county. Having said that, 95% of what we do as a chaplain corps is Seneca County related. It's either Tiffin or Seneca County related. 5% of what we do is our national work through the IAOCC. But our chaplain corps, we still have our food pantry running. We're maintaining all kinds of different relationships and crisis management on a lot of different levels, and counseling as well. So it's not just the number of people that we have inside residentially in the program. We have people coming in every day. We're working with the parents of people that are in addiction. We're working with the addicts themselves, whether they stay with us or not. We're part of the addiction recovery program that we're working through municipal court as well. We're the recovery coaches on Wednesdays. And we make most of the referrals for municipal court to put people into rehab, whether they stay with us or not. Most of everything that we do is not funded. So I have to run around the country and teach classes. That's where the majority of our money comes from. We have a membership for IOCC, plus me running around and training chaplains. That's the majority of our money. Plus we get a little bit of money from the court. for victim advocate services. But other than that, we have no other funds that come into us. So we are totally self-funded that way. We occasionally get some donations that help with the food and things like that too. But we still maintain a 24/7 response to everything and anything that we do. So that's kind of where we are with that. So we were hoping to talk about the possibility of us, instead of paying the $1 a year and then quarterly payments, if we could come out with a flat fee. What we know that we can afford right now would be $500 a month. We would be able to pay on the lease.
What are the utilities running right now? Do we know this?
Between, yeah.
I'd have to ask Tanya.
I think you said about $18,000.
It's between $18,000 and $22,000 a year.
So in lieu of paying utilities, you would pay the
$500 a month, yes. If that's, and again, we're grateful for everything that you guys have allowed us to do out there, and for the building and everything else. It's a good space for us. There are some upcoming repairs that need to be done right now too. The roof has a little bit of a leak. We've been patching it. We're still working on the other side of the building sewer issue, and we're putting money together to get some of that done too. So that's, we're looking at some grant money to be able to get the building repairs done, but that doesn't pay the utility.
Operating costs, yeah.
That doesn't pay the operating expenses, correct. So.
So how many folks do you have there now in residence?
Right now we have 3. We're about to get a 4th. We have a capacity of 14, and we are looking to do some other kind of constructive things there to get some more people in. However, again, most of the guys that are in the program can't pay, so we can't look at them as a source of revenue.
Right.
So no matter how many people we get in there, it costs money.
Right.
It doesn't get paid for. It doesn't get paid for. Poverty, addiction, and crime, the 3 dogs that won't hunt, and nobody wants to pay, because that's just the nature of it.
I assume that you have applied for and continue to apply for different types of grants when they become available.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right now we're working on one through the Department of Labor, because we started a wood shop in the basement for the boys, and I have pictures of the work that they're doing, and it's excellent work. And so we're actually going to be using that to be selling their products as well, to be able to kind of offset their costs in the program as well. Plus, we're going to be starting. We wrote a grant to start up what we're lovingly calling the Shirt Shack. We have 500 members in the IAOCC part of it, and they're all looking for T-shirts and hats and things like that too. So we're going to make that part of what the boys program is about, because they have to learn 3 marketable skills while they're in the program in order to be employable. And we do have employers that are working with us that hire our boys most of the time. So they are employable. But again, once they get employed, child support kicks in, fines and costs kicks in, all these other costs kick in, and they don't have the money to pay us. Even so it's a token of whatever they give to offset any cost if we do get it. So
What is the term of our agreement at this point?
I think.
it was a 5-year one to
Yeah.
start.
It was the 5-year for $1 a year.
Yes,
And then
plus utilities.
we helped out with utilities
For 6 months.
for 6 months originally, or in the
No,
past?
just now, this year. We've always
year.
paid.
They-
We've always paid.
Yep.
So
Yep.
this year we were helping out with
Yep.
utilities.
And that's
for
why we
first
brought
year.
this up again, because that 6 months was
Was up.
up.
It is up, that
Yes.
6-month
Yes.
agreement, so going forward, we need to decide when. Okay.
Okay, anything else? We'll take all this under consideration and make a decision.
Do you have any questions I can answer?
Is there any other path forward as far as generating operating dollars?
We did get certified, but we still can't receive that money because we won't take Jesus out of the program. So we can't receive that money. So we are looking at alternatives, and we want to become self-sufficient. That's what we're trying to do some entrepreneurship and teaching the boys those kinds of things too. That's our goal. But in the meantime, we have several grants out there that we're writing, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're not eligible anymore for the Mental Health Recovery Board's money because of our religious bend. But we did get certified as a level 3. we are doing everything that we can right now to, I mean, the grants are going, we're pursuing them through the Department of Labor this time instead of through the mental health people. Because there's training money out there for the boys that can help offset some of that stuff, and some of it is operating money. So we are working toward that path right now, and it looks very promising. And criminal justice as well, we're looking into that. There's some money that's at the federal level too that might help with the residential part too. That and again, we'll have to see whether they'll consider us eligible for that or not.
Is there, what partners do you have now? I mean, is the Community Foundation, United Way, any of the churches?
We've received foundation money from the Gilmore Fund. We've received from Misha Frost Fund. We've received money from National Machinery. We've received a lot. We've received a lot of grant money that way.
Is any of that ongoing operational money?
No, that was all mostly repairs and also to help with the boys. Like some of the grants were to get the equipment that they needed to do the woodworking, to set up the wood shop. So it bought the tools and it bought some of those kinds of things too. But none of it is ongoing repair, ongoing money. And we have membership money coming in from our IAOCC that goes into operating. The money that we make off of the trainings, that goes into operating. So, and plus we get a little bit of money from the courts, but again, that goes into salaries for the people that are working those 2 days. I still don't get paid. So just if anybody's wondering if there's somebody at the top getting like $100,000 a year, I don't get paid. So there's not enough money for me to do that anyway, and I pay some staff that I need to have to make this work. So.
Okay. Give us a success story.
Actually, we have several. First, the bad news. In the last 5 years, I personally have buried 32 men and women in the heroin addiction fight. That's just people that we've been involved with too. We've had a lot of success stories coming out of our program right now. Right now, there's a young man that we have in our program. He had lost his leg. He had overdosed, died, lost his leg. They brought him back. He right now, since he's been in the program, he is gangbusters on fire. I believe I showed you some pictures there of the guys doing the woodworking and stuff. They're forming bonds and brotherhood where they are here. So it's not just about the money, it's about them bonding and building relationships and bringing them all the way back to society, because they're coming back here. And what we know is that when we help them deal with the trauma related to what started with this, we have a better chance of helping them get better. We've had a lot of success stories that Tom Mayberger can tell you about too. A lot of them are working for him and have been working for him for more than 3 years. A lot of our guys that have graduated from the program are there or have gone through there and on to other work. We have several of them now that are on the pipeline working, that were able to overcome the addiction part. And that's a very difficult thing for them to work in that environment. Because I don't know if you know it or not, that's a very difficult environment. There's a lot of drug and alcohol in the trades and things like that too, and weekend stuff. So they are standing strong, and they're working, and they're doing a really good job of it. We have some right now that have gone back to school. We've got them free education through Job and Family Services. We have a partnership with them too. We utilize their programs a lot too. They help them with get them into school for free, and they can either get a certificate or a 2-year degree that transfers. So as many of them as we can get in there, we're getting them in there. We are working with them on a fatherhood project too that we're looking to hope to get a grant for too through them. Because we call it, our recovery parenting, because they have to be able to answer the questions. And most of them that have gone through that have gone on to go back and have healthy relationships with their kids and get their children back from the courts. So they're able to have relationships with them again. So those are all things that we're doing. Now there's other things that we're doing that nobody else ever hears about because they're not part of the recovery project. We do a lot of case management for people who fall through the cracks everywhere else. We have several people that we've helped get their disability because they are schizophrenic or bipolar, or they're this or they're that, and for whatever reason they're not able to manage, and even though they're doing everything they're supposed to do, they're still unable to maintain housing and things like that too. So we're actually in a place of case management for them to help them get a payee, to help them get through the things. We're the phone call that they make in the middle of the night and on weekends when they're suicidal, or they just need to come in, or something terrible just happened, crisis mode all the time. we are 24/7 operation. I can't get away from it. So even when I am wherever I am, those phone calls are still coming. And we're still doing that, and all of that is unfunded. And we've been doing that since our inception almost 20 years ago. So these are things that we do that nobody else ever sees, and they go unfunded because there's nobody else there to do it. We're kind of the crisis net, you know what I'm saying? And then we hook them up with other services. We get them hooked into that again. But again, we're there in the day-to-day if they need us. We're there for the food, the crisis, the kids, the diapers, the medication, the car gas, that kind of stuff. And, you know, a home if they need it. You know, our boys built a single mother with 3 special needs kids. They rebuilt and rehabbed a trailer for them last year. And now they have a home for the first time because they were going to get kicked out of every apartment they were going to be in because of the special needs of the kids. And so the boys in the program went and built them. We got a trailer and they rebuilt it from the ground up as part of the program, as part of them giving back. And that's part of them learning to become part of community again. Those are the things that we've been doing. So, you know, we have a very, very tight budget, but our goal is to help and to be of service to everyone and anyone. So I guess if that helps answer your question. And all of it's unfunded.
Thank you.
Tracy, thank you very much.
I just want to share a few things. I'm just taking this all in, and it's going to take us some time, I think, to think through it. But I mean, I just have to wonder: is there a less costly option for a facility for a group as a nonprofit than one that is anywhere from $18,000 to $22,000 annually for utilities? That's just that's a lot to bear for any group. I certainly get that, so I understand what you're possibly seeking from us, and that has us subsidizing at a minimum $12,000 a year. So that's just things we got to absorb and take in. And when we think about the funding revenue of the county and what is or isn't uncertain in that with the Medicaid tax, other things, other expenses, and there's always a line of people needing funding and what we're mandated to fund and what we're not. These are just all the things in my head, so I'm just sharing that. And I just have to wonder if there's any more on a reach out with the regional and or county-wide basis to direct the church group, since that's the affiliation, which I don't want to take Jesus out of it. I'm all for that. I appreciate that. That's what the Chaplain's Corps is. It's that religious-based, and having that in there is restricting you from a funding source. So is there any way with some of the more of the churches on a, like I said, possibly regional and or at least countywide or outside of the county to get any, are they as aware of the facility, what's going on in the program?
Most of them don't have enough money to fund what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just know that, I know there's several that, that do a lot of mission work and that kind of thing outside of our country. And I'm wondering if they're aware of some of it needed in our country. And, I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah.
I think thoughts that I had. So appreciate you taking the time to come in and give us some things to think about.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Tracy.
time.
Are we ready for our proclamation?
Sure.
Mr. Thomas.
Is Charles here?
He is.
Today we have a proclamation from the Seneca County Board of Commissioners.
You want to pick up one?
Come on up if you'd like. Make this all official. We can even stand by the flag. The camera's there, so.
He's going to get you on it.
This is a proclamation from all of us. Whereas Charles Huth has been volunteering at the Seneca County Master Gardener for 6 years with the Ohio State University Extension Service. During those 6 years, Mr. Huth has managed the resource line that is offered to Seneca County residents year-round and offers his vast knowledge to the residents who have questions. And whereas Charles has also reorganized the Master Gardener Volunteer Office and Resource Center, helping train members and interns with the resource line. And whereas Mr. Huth is a monthly guest on WTSC Radio, providing gardening information and promoting the Master Gardener program in Seneca County. And whereas Charles has become a reliable educational resource, volunteering to teach children who attend Earth Day projects in the spring and fall at Miller Conservation Farm Projects, and annually judges the 4-H horticulture projects for Seneca County Fair. And whereas Mr. Huth has also been an active participant in the statewide Ask a Master Gardener program for the past 5 years and leads by example, helping whenever needed in the county as well as the state level. And now, therefore, be it resolved that this Board of Commissioners, Seneca County, Ohio, be and does hereby recognize the hard work, dedication you have put into this county as a Master Gardener volunteer, and commend you for earning the honor of being named the State Master Gardener of the Year.
I don't know if I agree with all that.
Congratulations. It's fantastic.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Hold
Thank you for
this
your
and
work.
we'll look at this camera here, Mike.
Good.
Thank you. Would you like to say a few words about the Master Gardener program? We always love to hear about it.
Well, I don't have anything prepared in that, but we're one of the, in the state, I don't know, in the state, we're, of all the counties, I believe there's only like, 44 that actually have Master Gardener programs, and we lacking a educator, or which is, I guess you would better known as a ag agent. Okay, we've struggled along for these past years, and that where other counties have faltered because of that, and I don't know what else to say.
Well, we certainly appreciate your volunteers with a lot of volunteer hours at doing the Master Gardeners, and we really, really appreciate
Like
the
I
effort.
said, I don't know if I can, live up to everything you said. It's not just my efforts, it's the other members that we have in our organization that actually help at that there,
Yeah.
so.
Thank you very much.
But without the volunteers, we wouldn't have the program, as you said, so it takes a strong leader, and yourself and the others that are part of that, and always have that constant presence and have for a number of years. I'd like to recognize Katie Cole is here, and Katie is the 4-H youth educator in the office as well, and I think Kathy as the county chair, acting county chair with Ottawa County and us, is gonna come back later in the month for an overall extension update, but she couldn't be here today, so we're gonna do that later, but, so, appreciate you coming in, and congratulations on that state award.
Yep, thank you. Yep, I'm just sad that I couldn't have attended that there, because I had to have a emergency eye operation Saturday, so.
Yeah, well, I can't help that then, can you?
No. Thanks again.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you. If you guys.
And don't feel obligated to stay.
Yeah, if you guys need to move on, you are certainly not gonna offend us.
The Advertiser Tribune will have a riveting synopsis. of-
Depends on what's coming up.
Buckle your seatbelt. Okay, first item on the regular or the printed agenda is annex renovations. We got a number. Why don't we start with that and go from there?
So we went over, let's see, that would have been last week, to the annex building. Total renovations that they anticipated was the $416,838.57. I know there was some discussion about potentially doing some alternates, or and we did the tour. If any of you had any thoughts, suggestions, changes that needed to be made.
I guess at this point, just to get the numbers out there and as much of the facts as we can. On the 416, I think we were told that about 50 of that is attributable, not necessarily to probate and juvenile, but to the general building project when it relates to servers and
The data-
server
the data
room, the
center,
data
yeah.
center, and and some storage areas and those kind of things. So,
What was that number?
50.
50. 50.
As it directly relates to juvenile probate then, approximately, we're talking what, 370? No, 360? Yeah, 366. And we have allocated, at least our projection was that it would, could possibly come in someplace around 500,000, and we, in 2016, we set $500,000 aside for the potential of costs here. So those are just the facts. That doesn't mean it's good, bad, or indifferent, but that's where we're coming from. So let the discussion begin.
One thing I would like to see added, and I think Mike might be working on this, or Abby, the LED upgrades for the other floors. I think there's an ROI there that we may be missing. So I would just like to see the numbers on that. And I know it's expensive, but if there's a payback for the taxpayers and future commissioners, I think we owe it to them to consider that.
Okay.
And Mike talked a little bit about the possibility of some almost LEDs, fixtures,
Right.
changing the fixtures, or maybe we do that over time. I just like to know what that is.
Sure.
Was there LED included on the first floor?
First floor.
All the way
first
through
floor.
the first floor, not just in the corridor?
I think it was to be consistent with the new facility,
Right.
that they wanted to make certain the first floor looked the same all the way through.
Yeah.
And I thought that the rest of the fixtures were gonna be LED adaptable, so that as they blew or whatever, they could replace them with LED lighting.
Yeah, John and Mike talked about that. There was some sort of an upgraded LED, not changing the full fixture, but there were some bulbs that we could buy that wouldn't be as energy efficient, since we'd still be using the same,
Ballast and, okay.
so, if that's what I understood.
Did anybody have any thoughts about what an LED upgrade would be for the
So
second
like
two
now, I have to
floors?
ask, I'll ask them to give me a number.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a math discussion, right? Is it worth just
Right.
doing the 40% energy improvement bulbs, or is it worth investing the money and getting a 70% reduction in utilities? I think that's a math discussion, but I think but this is the time to have that discussion. We don't certainly need to hold up this conversation for that, but let's not leave check that. So I have some thoughts on how I think I'd like to see it done as alternates. I would like to see, and this is just so we can make a more granular decision on some of these things. Server room, anything affiliated with that, I think that makes sense. I think we're fairly committed to that, so that's LED upgrades, including the second and third floors. I think that makes sense to hear that out. We certainly don't need to hold up anything else to make that decision, but I think that's an important one. The flooring in the stairwell, it currently is carpet. I'd like to see that pulled out as a separate conversation. Surprisingly expensive to put in rubber risers and landings there. I think there's some consensus around the first floor, not including the title office. First floor needs to have new flooring to make it consistent with the Justice Center, and the carpet in Gene's office is pretty worn, so I think there's some consensus there that we probably need to do that. And then the renovation costs of courtroom 2 and the renovation costs of courtroom 3, second and third floor, as separate line items. I don't think you can touch the courtroom without doing it completely, meaning carpet and paint and everything, because I think once you start altering it, the carpet's going to need to come up because of placement and whatnot. But that gives us the granular level of what's happening in those courtrooms as far as cost. And then the final would be then the remaining paint and flooring throughout the building, which is
what I would consider the non-public facing parts of the juvenile probate.
Now, are you suggesting that all of these be alternates, or you just want to see the breakdown from Encompass of what this is going to be?
Well, from a decision standpoint, I think we need to have it bid that way, because I don't know how we make, and I mean, we could have that theoretical decision, but if, the flooring of the stairwell, which, I'm having a hard time warming up to, if it comes in much less than I expect, maybe I could swallow hard and take that bill. But until we actually see a bid, then I don't think that,
Wouldn't these all be separate bid items at this point? When we get a bid in, would they not be broken out? Is there anything that we talked about here that wouldn't be broken out?
well, the paint would be all the paint across the whole
Right.
whole facility. The carpet is, as it's written, is carpet for everything. Demolition includes tearing carpet out and carpet on the stairwell. So, right, as it's written right now, there's not enough granularity in there for me to object to things that I may not be that comfortable with.
Does the stairwells called to put them all into the rubber? Because one right now is rubber, one's carpet.
Right,
Yeah.
they're all rubber at this point.
Renovations puts them all what?
Rubber.
It's rubber.
All rubber, okay.
And I mean, if you just look, the new rubber stair treads and risers and new rubber floor landings, just the cost of that is $15,000, just the materials, and then there's demolition, removal, remove glue, and then, margin on top of that. So that quickly climbs.
And so if we could ask the bid to be basically as we move forward without any alternates, then we could also ask for them to include it handling certain things, I don't know what the breakdown for sure is, as alternates, and look at that. Does that impact, I don't know if that makes a difference to them. That would give us a comparison, obviously, to see and say, we might as well do the package as a whole. But if we take one alternate, then we pretty much have got to then deal with all of that as alternate, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I just have to see how they could write that up. I'm sure we can do whatever you guys want to do.
I don't mind actually the LED on the second and third, that would be an additional that we didn't even calculate in at this point. If we ask for that as an alternate, if you ask for the stairwells as an alternate, because it could be we do them and do them, or we leave them alone. Not as encumbersome to come back and do that later, because people don't, work in the stairwells,
Right,
but they
yeah.
do have to have the way in and out of the building.
Well, part of that was a request of our maintenance folks too, was it not?
The floors, yes,
Yeah.
for just the way they have to clean the
Yeah,
carpet
the ongoing
stairs.
maintenance of that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
facility.
Yeah.
I know that's how the conversation at least got started. The problem is when you get too granular, if carpet people are going to be there to tear out carpet and put new carpet in, it's one cost for doing it all at once. And it's a total separate cost if they've got to tear parts of it out and then come back at another time and do it. There's some
Yeah.
additional cost by not doing all things at once, I guess is the point that I'm trying to make. Not very well.
Well, and the more tasks they have, that I'm getting, that might take a minuscule amount of time to do certain things. Something else takes a lot more time than they projected, but it all kind of balances out when they're doing the overall project, and I think they would factor that in. Whereas when they start breaking it down, that we might have a move in, move out, and we've got to now figure in, so they're gonna I would think you'd have to maximize the longest amount of time in your bid. It's gonna take you to do that, because you're not having anything else to weigh it against.
What Shane, you said renovation of courtroom, which, 3 and 4, is that what you said?
On the second and third
2
floor.
and 3, yeah.
2 and 3.
Just to have it bid out as a renovation of the courtroom.
But did I hear this wrong, or didn't Judge Meyer say that that was a total cost of less than 25,000?
We don't know that.
Yeah, he might have taken some of these.
Okay, but I mean, isn't that what he said?
Yeah, that's
at
what
the
he
meeting?
said, yeah.
Okay.
I think he was counting, the casework, the jury box move, those kinds of things. I don't know about the demolition and the painting and the carpet. So, I think that just encapsulates the conversation better if we say, what is it to do this room? Allows us to have that conversation.
Well, the next step, the next typical step in this bidding process is that we've got estimates. And then will we send out a bid package at this point?
And we'd advertise and
So
set time and date and.
at Commissioner Thomas' request, then we can break these things out?
We'd have
I'd
to ask
do
for
that
it with the bid.
before.
Yeah, it'd have to be part of the bid package.
Yeah, I'd have to have that bid breakdown before I advertise.
Okay, are any of these things unreasonable to break out, in your opinion?
I'd have to ask Abby.
Okay.
I would just clarify that the main bid would be server room and all the suggestions on the first floor, carpet tile on the first floor.
Am I assuming that you want to break out the server room as a separate bid?
No. Well,
Yeah.
I'm
I know that.
thinking the main bid, main bid is as we thought we were moving forward, everything. And then if you did it as an alternate, it would be whatever, and then these things as the alternate. Is that what you're asking for that?
Like you did with the Board of Elections, you have the project.
Yeah,
And then we also did some alternates because we knew the blacktop needed done, we knew the restrooms in the back needed done, but those were alternates. I can't have a full bid of everything and
breakouts.
alternates.
It's
I
got
need to
that.
have a main bid.
okay, I'm with you now.
And then,
Included in that bid are some alternates.
yeah, the alternates would be added as you guys so choose.
Okay,
We
so-
can't bid it as all and parts.
We've only ever done that as alternates. I guess we could do changes to the contract once we, got the bids in and
Changes
we've
to
not
it.
done that. We'd have to do some sort of reduction after the bids because they're bidding as a whole. So if we all of a sudden, they're bidding on the project as a whole and what they're gonna make on this project and all of a sudden we decide we don't wanna do that, now we're cutting them down.
It's gonna make our
40,000
bids to
and-
be not so great, in my opinion.
Yeah, so we've never done it that way. We've always done, here's the base project, and then here's the alternates we might consider doing.
I mean, that's what I was trying to say earlier, I didn't say very well. If you've got a contractor that's gonna bid the project, they're gonna be on the project and do all these things within a given amount of time, that's one price. If you got them coming in to bid it, that they may do part of it or may not do part of it, and they have to bid it as a separate item, they would bid it as a separate, setting up, tearing down, coming back in, and all those things take time and expense. So, let me make sure I understand. The Commissioner Thomas is asking for these things to be separated. The server room and the renovations to the server room, which would include the storage areas and those kind of things. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know that we have any programming on the storage area. There's a wall to be built and floor to remove. That's
That's
what we
all
have.
we're gonna do.
That's all we have now. I mean,
So, specifically on the storage area, cost for LED upgrades, separate, part of the bid. Flooring for the stairwell or flooring for the entire facility?
flooring for the stairwell specifically.
Specific renovation costs for courtroom 2 and 3, does that include carpeting and painting and benches changed and
Yeah, I
jury
think-
boxes changed? And
I think everything, if you touch that courtroom, I think you're all in. Because if you tear out a jury box, you're gonna have to paint the wall. If you move the tables, you're gonna have to replace the carpet. So, and the renovations are different between the two courtrooms. One gets tables and one gets a jury box that remains, and so those are separate renovations. I don't think it's too much to ask the contractor to give us a separate cost for each one of those renovations.
We have had ongoing conversations with the judges to the point where we actually built a mock courtroom because of the different eye levels and because of the different configurations that they wanted to see. And Judge Meyer was part of that whole process. So, I mean, we pretty much have committed to the other judges that we were going to put their courtrooms together in such a manner as to make it easy to have visual contact with the witnesses and to make the courtrooms more efficient. I'm not sure what discussion we would have beyond that, since we've already made that decision, a year ago or 18 months ago.
Yeah, I don't think there's any problem, I don't disagree with your position, but I want to know what the cost is.
I know at this point, I certainly would support it, for the overall project was the first floor, flooring, lighting, all the renovations that were planned, and the only thing, this is just off the cuff, that I'm thinking out loud is the alternates being server room, storage area, the LED upgrades on second and third floors, and the stairwells. And everything else be part of the project, and keep it moving. I think you could get into possibly seeing some things that might save money. I just think when you think about the timing of these bids going out, we don't know for sure, we never know until it's over. But this is work that hopefully they could maybe begin working on in late January, February, winter months, indoor work. We screw around too much longer, we could start looking at missing that window of opportunity and getting good bids. People
Well, but
want
I
work
take
for the
offense to
winter.
that because they've been working on this for 9 months, and this is the first chance we've had to have a conversation about the alternates here. So I'm not going to hurry up based on, the fact that it took them 9 months to get us this information. So, I'm not there. I don't feel that at all. Like, we need to take our time and know what this stuff's going to cost us. This is our due diligence, this is our decision, it's not the architects, it's not the judges, it's our decision. And so we need the information to make the decision.
Okay, Commissioner Stacy, give me what you thought the alternates ought to be again.
Would be the server room and storage area, which is all first floor. The LED upgrades to second and third floor, because those weren't part of any of it at this
Right.
point. And I think it's a very valid point that why not look at that to see, because of, like you said, cost savings down the road. And then the stairwells, because I think as well, valid points on what the cost of those are and least impactful to moving other things forward. That's-
Okay. So is there some compromise in your thoughts, the two of you's thoughts? Mr. Stacy talks about the server room, the LED lighting, and the stairwell. And Shane brings it down a little further and talks about the renovation cost of the courtroom. And you wanted a separate bid, Shane, on the paint and flooring for all of it,
For the non-common areas, yeah.
for the non-common areas?
It's back office stuff, right?
So that kind of would include the stairwells?
No, stairwell's a separate issue in my mind.
I thought non-common areas would include the stairwells.
No, I think that the stairwell is a different beast. Because it's expensive, one, to put in the rubber. And it's, in my estimation, something that's not at all required. So,
Well, I guess that part of the problem is that, even though we did just get the estimates, this has been with the probate juvenile court room renovation, this has been an ongoing conversation, at least the last 18 months. I've met with Jay, I don't know how many times I know Shane has met with him, I know that Commissioner Stacy's met with him as well, to go over all these things and to talk about the changes that were gonna be necessary, and that's how we asked them to bid it, based on all those conversations, and we had pretty much agreed, or at least I thought we had pretty much agreed, that those courtroom changes would take place. So I would also be in favor of not breaking out the renovation of the courtrooms, because that's been something that we've committed to along the way. And I don't think that the cost there is so significant that it should be. I've got no problem with the stairwell flooring. LED upgrades is a bit of a surprise to me, because that's an additional cost, but okay, we can look at that from a return on investment standpoint. the server room, I mean, we have a sense that that's about $50,000, but we certainly can get that broken out. That might make it easy. So, I guess I need a motion from one of you to go forward in some way, if you so desire, or to continue to discuss it.
Yeah, I would be happy to motion that my alternates, and I've been asking for these alternates for 4 months, asking for this information. So, I don't feel like, we've mulled it over for 18 months because we haven't had that opportunity until now, until it became real. So,
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
just as a point of clarity, we have mulled it over for 18 months. We gave the specifics to the engineers and architects to come back to us with a bid based on what we requested the renovations be. So they didn't just, go in there and say, these are the things we think you ought to do. They went in there based on us telling them, these are the things we want you to put together, and make us understand what those costs would be. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So-
I know part of the premise at the time we were looking at that is we know that that building wasn't finished for juvenile probate. There's been some wear and tear on things. It's cheaper to do it, probably, whether all at once, but cheaper to do it while there's not people in the building versus, the hassle of dealing with renovations in another couple of years and just getting it done and that kind of stuff. So with that premise, again, we did ask them to, after meetings with the users on our behalf, to put this together.
Yeah, and all I'm really asking for, I'm not arguing against any particular part of the project, but I think we need the information. We need the level of detail so that we can make an informed decision on what it costs to renovate the courtroom on the second floor, what it costs to renovate the courtroom on the third floor. I don't think there's any harm done by having that information and having it asked to be bid that way.
Well, if it isn't any preconceived thing, I mean, I've heard things like, make sure you take this stairwell stuff off your schedule because we're not doing that. So, I mean, that, to me, that's not the way you talk to the contractor or the estimator. You go along with what it is they've got, and then you decide whether or not the price makes sense. We cannot make decisions individually here, so let me make sure I understand your motion. Your motion is to do a separate server room, to do separate, to break out the LED upgrades, to break out flooring on the stairwell, to break out the renovation costs for courtrooms 2 and 3, and to break out common area paint and flooring. So,
The non-common area, the
non-common.
the back office.
the non-common area, okay. Okay, so that is a motion. Do I have a second? Okay, Taylor, for lack of a second, do I have another motion?
Well, I'm gonna, I guess, throw it out the other way if we wanna move on this, and that would be to have the alternates be the server room, storage, LED on second and third, and the stairwells. And the rest of it be the project. I think pulling out, well, there's the motion, and I'll save the rest for comments if it moves on for discussion.
Okay, do I have a second? I will second that motion. Roll call.
I just would add as a comment and discussion, if I may, as I think if time we pull out the renovations for the courtrooms, because I think Stacy's right, we can't say, we want it all left alone, bid package 1, and then all this is alternate. What you leave is next to nothing. Time you pull out the 2 courtrooms, you're leaving hallways that are common area, and I don't know what else you're leaving. I just think, I think, what's left? That's,
Okay, any other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Stacy?
yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
No.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes. Okay, so we will move on to safety grant. Stacy,
Yes.
kind of bring us a little
yes.
bit, we had conversations with John DeVoli and
Kathy Moore
Kathy Moore.
called and come up to talk to me about the pending safety grant and the safety, not safety grants, the IT loan and the safety grant. As you remember, we got an email saying that these were extended until the end of this year, and NCOESC is asking to proceed with at least the portion of the loan that would get the grant items funded.
Isn't part of the loan due by the end of October too? We have to make a decision by the end of October, possibly, Liz? Just, is it all the end of the year?
I think it's all the end of the year.
Okay, go ahead.
Yep.
Sorry.
What they were asking us about what we've currently spent. Their amount was, let me start over at my cheat sheet here. As you know, the grant was $163,000. What the NCOESC is proposing is taking about $54,000 out of the IT loan to cover the grant items for the city and the villages. The counties, which would not, we would not do the loan, it would be them doing the loan, they would pay for the loan, they would cover the fees.
They being the cost.
NCOESC,
Okay, and they're gonna do the match
yes,
for those,
for those, yes.
which is 100% match, right? One to
Yes,
one?
1-to-1.
All right.
And then what they had asked me to look up is some costs that we have expended on either the data center or any form of IT communications already for the Justice Center, which we have with the generator, was about $110,000. So we could use that as our match to get the county's portion of the grant, which the majority of that would have been the sheriff's,
Strong books.
yeah, the tough books and the stuff,
Tough.
because the last time those were purchased,
books.
they're probably 6 years old. Once those start going, they're gonna be at the cost of the general fund, once those start going out. So there would not be a need, unless you guys see, to take the loan on that, since we have already budgeted for that. But they said we could get reimbursed for what we've spent on the generator. That would be an acceptable match for the state to allow the sheriff to get his portion. Is that
I'm
making?
not following the math here because there was a whole list of things that were to be purchased.
Yes,
And to my knowledge, nobody ever came back here and said, these are the things that we're going to purchase since our grant got clipped. So when has that discussion happened?
Well, there's a bigger picture. The safety grant isn't just for these specific items. How much additional money is out there besides just?
Well, it's $1 million project.
Right.
And we only got 163 of the 500 match.
right.
So I've never seen where the priorities got named on who was going to get funding.
Kathy took that sheet with her.
I mean,
thought she-
I'm just asking from a
Yeah.
policy standpoint, who made that decision? Did we make that decision at IT?
No. It was, NCOESC had reviewed what was proposed, and they had chosen the specific items for the villages and the city. For the educational side of it, is what they've decided to,
Well, I would need to see that back in
Okay.
here. There's $1 million worth of equipment to be purchased, and 163,000 of it's getting funded by grants. I'd like to see that back.
Was it $1 million worth of equipment, or was it $1 million connectivity? And
it was
That
towards
was the overall project.
Right, right.
And
So
so
there weren't
that's what we
specifics.
presented as the way we were gonna utilize our loan and the grant.
Right.
But like you said, it certainly wasn't all funded and they're a lot less. So of the grant money of the 163, did they, well, and like Shane says, I guess we need to see that list.
Sure.
How much of that was that they needed for the villages and the townships, whoever?
It was
it half?
about 54,000.
Okay, 54,000.
Yeah, that's where
I
their
missed that
match.
part.
She is getting updated quotes since those quotes were kind of old when we applied for this stuff, so that's why I don't have any new numbers.
So they were gonna give us a report anyway, so they can give us a
Yes.
list of all the,
Yep.
all the hardware, so to speak, items that they looked at and what they decided that were the most important.
Right.
But this discussion happened with the villages and the sheriff's department as, here's a list of things. Which of these things do you think are needed the quickest and would do this look good? So that's gonna be the answer, that the villages and the sheriff actually looked at that stuff and decided which ones they thought were needed the most. But it might be a little preliminary on the discussion here, but she's gonna send you that.
Mhm.
And then Commissioner Thomas wants a list of all the items that could have been purchased through
Okay.
this.
I think we
And
can
why,
have that.
you know, why we broke it down to these specific items.
So the loan, run that by me again. Who's repaying the loan?
If we don't take out any of the loan, it would be, the portion that they would be wanting to take out would be paid by the NCOESC, not the COG, NCOESC.
And that's for the townships and the city.
They wanna use enough of the loan to make the match for the township and the
Yes.
city, so they're looking at about 54,000 of the loan
Right.
that they would take care of any expenses with.
What? So they're just going to purchase equipment for the villages and then repay the loan?
It's villages in the city. Yeah, for the educational portion, because I think, well, they're involved, they have an investment on their end as well, since they're gonna be doing some of the education, and they'll have some of the connectivity. So I think that's why they had agreed to pay, invest in the loan.
Well, they're using the expenditures that they've already made as the match.
Right. But they want to draw from the loan.
Okay, so we need to know from Kathy and John, what specific items would have been or are still available to purchase, why we chose what we chose from an
Right.
equipment standpoint, and a specific breakdown, so there's no question as to what our match can be.
Right.
And that being the generator, we believe will be sufficient. And then our amount is what again? 100 and?
110,000, which our generator was 109, I think it was.
So, and there's other things that we've done to the courthouse that if we had to, we could use as a match.
Right. But we were just, I was just asked to bring this up, just some preliminary conversations. He said John would be willing to come in and discuss it, and they were gonna get us updated numbers, but we wanted to at least have preliminary conversations to let you know what they're thinking or what they're asking for.
Okay.
So I can get
Chaplain's
that.
course,
I mean,
proclamations.
And I certainly don't wanna see us lose out on the opportunity to bring that safety grant, and that we didn't get near what we asked for, but to the county, especially if the villages and the townships are able to use it. And like I said, I certainly respect where they're coming from, and hey, they did the work, they applied for that, we wanna get it to the county for that reason, but hopefully they can get us the list and we can get it figured out.
The tough books take up all of that, that we're talking
110.
about?
I think so, it was ours portion,
Okay.
yeah.
So, I mean, the tough books really cost 220 or whatever the
Yeah.
number is, and
But she'll have it detailed out.
so, I guess, so I'm clear, talking about the math. We're gonna get $220,000 worth of equipment, because we've already spent 110 on related equipment. And then, so the sheriff, then we wound up with a loan of $110,000 that needs to be repaid
If we use the loan.
if we use the loan.
Oh, I thought we were gonna use the grant.
If we want to get repaid for the generator, we can through the loan. If not, we've already expended it and we don't have to use the loan.
Okay. All right.
But it's 0%.
So we'll just need to go through that specifically, make sure that we're, again, I was probably too preliminary with that, but, because they did say they'd get back to us next week or so.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to get it on the table. Well, in fact, we can make that a discussion item for
Next week.
next week. Very good. Okay, review calendars. We want to talk about dates. I believe that the date in question right now is the last meeting in October, which is scheduled to be the 28th.
Halloween.
31st.
31st, okay. Because of schedules, we're asking whether or not that could be the 2nd, which is a Thursday? November 2nd, is that right?
Well, I mean, we could, but we wouldn't necessarily need it. The whole idea is to have it on the 31st, because we would get month-end closeout the 31st. We wouldn't need it on the 2nd. We could just cancel that week if we have scheduled.
Oh, we got.
Or the week before. I don't know what we're doing the week before.
We got the extra one in for this month, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, and Tuesday would be, the 31st would be the 5th. We'd have an extra Tuesday in, so we'd have an extra meeting anyway.
Okay, so 31st.
I'm available the 31st, I don't know, I don't have any schedule conflict, but that's the question.
Yeah, no, I just reminded that I was gonna be out, so Mike goes, well, we can look at the meeting. I don't mind, I mean, I don't like missing, but I'm going to miss. I planned this trip, so I will be.
Yeah, I just thought we could accommodate the schedule and have it the 2nd, but
I mean,
if we don't need it.
I mean.
Or you wait till you get closer to see if we're gonna, if you're gonna need it or not.
I'm available,
But-
I'll be here, so if we need a meeting, I'm happy to.
Okay, so we'll tentatively schedule it for that day. If we don't need it, we will just go with the next Tuesday.
And the 24th is good. And the 17th, we decided we were doing here with a work session starting at 9:30, right?
Right.
Right, yes.
That's right.
So we are having board on the 31st?
Well, tentatively, yes. As we
Stays on the schedule
meet
for now.
next week, we'll decide whether or not it's necessary. If it's
Okay,
not,
if
we'll just.
If not, I need to tell Tanya, because she has an executive session.
She was gonna change that
Oh,
anyway.
she was? Okay.
Yeah, she
It
wanted
was
Holly
just
to
on
be
the
here for
calendar,
that, so she was
okay.
gonna reschedule that anyway.
Good enough. Okay, any other items for the old business? I think we'll leave the 108 Jefferson discussion for another day. New business.
Shane, did you wanna?
I just wanted to,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I guess science fair.
Yeah, we've got a couple of kids locally that went to the annual state science fair. Carly Schaefer and Miranda Stallard, and they studied the respiration of sugar by yeast. And so I wanted to send them a letter of congratulations. We did try to invite them to last night's meeting, but since we typically meet it during the day when, it didn't work out, couldn't get hold of them. But I just wanted to send that along. And
What schools are they with?
Tiffin and Columbia, and I think one of them moved to Mohawk, but, so I'd
Sure.
just like to recognize them and
Sure.
send a letter to them congratulating them.
Okay. Not new business, yeah.
Okay, I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the general fund, putting $3,500 in supplies. This is at the request of the treasurer. He needs to get lovely envelopes ordered for the next round of, he's been using the old ones in town for a couple years. And
Is this in taxes out on?
Yep.
I vote no.
I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the clerk of court's title fund, moving 5,000 to supplies, 10,000 into contract services. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation to the SFY 17 Community Corrections Grant Fund, putting $114.83 into other expense. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the Workforce Investment Fund, putting $45,000 into contract services. Continuing the contract with EHOBE for the WIA program for remainder of 17. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the VAP court costs and miscellaneous fund, $120 into advertising. Resolution authorizing a fund advance from the general fund to the impaired driving enforcement program fund, moving $4,000. This is a reimbursable grant, so once they get the money spent, and they will pay back the advance.
How come I never hear anything about putting
They
it back
do.
in. Do I hear that?
Yes,
Mr.
you
Wood?
do. Yes, you do.
All right.
I have an appropriation adjustment within the public assistance fund. They're moving various things to their other expense and public assistance line. Total moved 170,000. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations to the VOCA fund, putting $56,660 into her VOCA, the 0102 accounts, and she's doing $2,400 into her 1090. They make them too close together, we sometimes mess those up. So it's a total of $59,060. It's just the way her grant fund runs. Resolution authorizing a fund advance from the general fund to the Selective Traffic Enforcement Program Fund. Again, the same thing, this is for $5,000 advance.
We're gonna get it back.
Yep. Morning. Supplement to the permanent appropriations to
I mean,
the.
we're adjourned, I guess.
To the SO STEP FY15 fund, putting $422.70 into transfers out. They're closing the 15 fund. Resolution authorizing a fund transfer to be made to the general fund. This is getting some of those monies back. $325 from the IDP 16 fund, $151.01 from the STEP fund for 16, and $422.70 from the STEP fund 15. So some money back.
So you're giving out 10,000, give
Give
back
it, yeah.
900.
Right.
All right.
Resolution granting the detachment of real estate from the corporate limits of City of Fostoria in accordance with section 709.38 of the Ohio Revised Code. Fostoria has approved this process. We're kind of a pass-through on this. I've only ever seen one of these once before.
What, $422?
No, this detachment of real estate, basically they want to
Oh,
be out in the township instead of the city,
I got you.
so.
So
Yeah, I
it's-
saw that in the paper. Somebody actually was in the city and they
Yep.
allowed them to leave again.
Yep,
Oh, that was odd.
yep. This is only the second one I've ever seen, so. We're kind of a pass through, the city's approved it, and we will notify the township.
I think most of his property was outside, this little parcel was
Yeah.
inside, so we did all that.
Yep.
Okay, I'll accept the motion to approve these appropriations and changes here.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Christian?
Yes. Okay, it is time, the time has come for public comment. Anyone have anything to say out there? Yes, Thomas?
On renovation of that building,
Yes.
are the county maintenance guys gonna help with that?
With the renovation itself?
Yes, taking the stuff out, yes. The carpeting, the stair treads. Why
I don't know
can't
the
they
answer
do
to that
that?
question.
We only have 4 maintenance men, they're pretty busy. We did look into maybe the sheriff's crew doing that. I'd have to check with him again if there was a reason why we decided not to use the work crew to do that, but it's not in it's included in the bid, is having that removed.
Tom, we'll look to see if we can get some outside labor to,
Well-
as part of that.
You know, they're not gonna be mowing lawn. You're gonna lose the lawn mowing
Yeah.
by that time.
Hopefully they're not back in the shoveling snow.
Well, hopefully you're right.
But we'll be, I mean, the move will be well underway and done, otherwise we can't be working in there, but I don't know that there won't be,
Okay. Thank you, thank you.
That's the thought.
All right, anything today?
No, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Huth, and I understand that the Master Gardeners have a new class coming up. They're trying to get enough people to join, to come up with how many ever they need for a new class of people trained.
We have 9 now.
You have
Yeah,
9?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the state wants us to have 10 at least.
10 at
But
least. so that-
Sandusky County hasn't got back with us yet because we're going in with them.
Okay. But
And the
they're
league has a
searching for
big
more
night tomorrow
recruit-
night?
Yes, candidates night tomorrow night. Everybody's invited at the middle school at 7 o'clock.
Candidates and issues.
Correct.
We're gonna figure out about issue 1 and issue 2, know which way to go once we leave, right?
Hopefully. And then also they're gonna discuss local issues too, the income tax increase and the recovery, mental health and recovery services.
Perfect.
Commission on Aging is on, right?
Commission
too?
on Aging also. I have a question. I would like to know what step is next in the document storage area?
The next step is scan everything and hide it.
Burn it.
You know, we have decided as a commission that we will be selling 81 Jefferson.
Right.
And
And I
having to
don't know
find
what's-
someplace for those documents. We have not decided about 108. Actually, we're gonna have some, I put it on, but we've had enough of discussion today about other things, and that'll be a matter of discussion, I'm sure, Tuesday.
Okay.
Yes,
May I make a comment about that?
sure.
We have a parking lot right here by the maintenance building. Be a perfect place to build a new storage building.
Okay, noted. Jimmy, Ron always has a question.
I'll talk to you after, maybe.
Well, my question is, how good is Kluber gonna be Wednesday?
It better be pretty good. Sign
It
on,
better be good.
Okay.
Did we
so-
figure out how we were gonna determine the FF&E for juvenile probate? I mean, I know we had a conversation about that last time,
I forgot.
I wanted to bring it up during this annex conversation.
I don't think we have we?
No, like I said, they
What's the
were,
path forward? Do we wanna submit a request to them to get what they need? As we contemplate budgeting and whatnot on this, I just like to have
I think like Judge Meyer said, he was waiting on
See what
The
else
other,
I could keep.
departments are,
So is our position that we're just going to wait and see what it is?
I can ask Teresa if there's
I
any
just-
known.
I think-
It'd be
Yeah,
nice if they could at least give a rough idea so we get something in the
Well-
budget, or try to.
Yeah, Commissioner Thomas makes a good point. I think that
Yeah.
what we need is probably a what-if budget.
Okay.
You know, what if we have to replace everything?
Yeah.
Maybe this is what it'll be, and what if I can use, X amount of my stuff? What range do we have here? I think it's a good idea to have an idea of where we're going with that number.
Yeah. And, if we do these tables in the courtroom, I mean, we want those to be in keeping with the ambiance of the courtroom. And, my sense is they're more than a folding table. So, that stuff we need to make sure we budget for it, know what it's going to be.
Jimmy, we're going into executive session. There probably won't be any decisions made. When we come back, you're welcome to stay, everyone. So I will take a motion to go into executive session. Do we need that, or I just put us
Yes,
in?
you do for the purpose, we have to state for the purpose
Oh, purpose
of.
of what?
uh,
Why are we?
Quick, make
Property.
it up.
Oh, property purchase or sale. or
Purchase or
something?
sale of property.
Purchase or sale
I'll
of
move that we
property.
go to executive session for the discussion of the purpose of the sale of county-owned property.
That's easy for you to say.
Second.
Okay, we are in executive session.